if you were to analyze the American military operation in Iran thus far, it really seems like a huge catastrophe. Which of their end goals have they achieved? The regime still stands. For what we know, they're still developing nuclear weapons, so they haven't achieved any of their end goals. If anything, they have just made the situation worse. Iran now has another reason to dislike America. But me personally, I don't believe that this is the end goal in Iran. Or what I'm trying to say is, I don't believe that what we have seen from the Iran-America conflict thus far is the end American plan for what they are trying to do with Iran. No, not at all. What I'm seeing is really a pattern that fits very well with what has been American modern military doctrine. If you look at the Gulf War, if you look at the Iraq War, if you look at the Afghanistan conflict, they did the same thing. They conducted huge air raids, huge missile strikes, huge bombings of these countries before they invaded. So I personally think that America's end goal here is not the geopolitical catastrophe that we have seen until now. No, this is just a prelude. And the end plan is a full-scale invasion of Iran. Now, there is a huge problem in trying to do this for the United States of America, and that is the fact that America cannot conduct this operation alone. If they want forces on the ground, boots on the ground in Iran, they cannot do so alone. They need the support of allies. It seems like they already have the support of Middle Eastern allies, countries like Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, these kinds of countries. But Europe is not engaged yet. And if Iran really wants, or I should say, if America really wants to conquer Iran, they're gonna need the help of the big European military powers, Germany, England, and France. And until now, they haven't had that. Now, why is that? From my point of view, that is because the political landscape of Europe at the moment, in Germany, in France, in the UK, in any other European country, EU country, even countries that are outside of the EU, but that are in the NATO sphere of influence, like Norway, we are all facing the same problem. There is a huge lack of trust and belief in the government. So at the moment, because of immigration, because of overblown government finances, because of crime rates rising, there are many reasons. A continuous stream of scandals in politics, corruption. The landscape is not ready for Europe to be engaged in a war on a different continent, in Asia, on another side of the world. So if America wants the support of Europe, which they need, Europe needs a good reason to be engaged. And I think, well, I don't necessarily think that this is going to happen, but I do think that this is very much plausible, and it does fit in with prior instances of what America's or the United States of America, the CIA, the FBI, on what they have been planning to do and what they have done. So I think they need the support of Europe. Europe cannot get the support for an intervention in a foreign country at the moment from its populace. So how is America gonna get it? And I think coming up, or I think it's plausible that the upcoming World Cup in football, in soccer, if you are American, can be a very good reason to do this. A classic false flag operation. And this might seem very radical, it might seem like a huge conspiracy theory, but it is the fact that America have proposed such operations before. It is a stated fact. It has been confirmed that America were proposing to President Kennedy in 1962 to conduct a false flag operation framing Cuba as and Fidel Castro's regime as having been the creators or conductors of terrorist attacks in America. Now Kennedy rejected this, and Kennedy's reluctance to engage in such clandestine activities might very well be the reason that he ended up dead. That and his very public disdain and opposition towards things like the CIA, the FBI, and other secret agencies is probably why he got killed. So it has been confirmed that America is very much willing to consider such tactics as false flag operations. Now, if you want Europe to join you in a ground invasion of Iran, the World Cup is a perfect opportunity to create the scenarios in which European leaders, people like Macron, Merz, Keir Starmer, can stand on the podium and say, this is the time for Europe to unite, for Europe to stand together towards a common enemy. So if we are to analyze this perspective and consider this as a possibility in relation to the World Cup, I am looking at the football games that are going to be played between European nations and Middle Eastern allies of America first. There are games to be played between Qatar and Switzerland. Saudi Arabia is also in the World Cup. I think they are meeting France, or no, they are not meeting France. France is in the group of Norway. But Norway has a game against Iraq. They have also provided bases to the United States during their operation against Iran. So Norway, Iraq, Qatar against Switzerland, Saudi Arabia against whoever, some other big, I can't remember right now. These are critical games, and a well-planned, a well-executed terror attack in any of these games could pull Europe into the war. And America have considered these kinds of strategies before, which are confirmed that they have considered it. But there are other instances, famously 9/11, famously the Bologna train station bombing, many other instances in which people have hypothesized or speculated that America have conducted these false flag operations. So I do not think it's like completely out of the out of what is realistic for America to do something like this. It is absolutely not. It is confirmed that they have proposed it before to President Kennedy, but he denied it. So the intention is proven. So I'm looking at games between American allies in the Middle East and European nations, and I'm also looking at critical infrastructure. Any bombing, stabbing, shooting that can involve, like a meaningful number of European fans is a good reason for European nations to be dragged into this conflict. So I would keep an eye on these specific games. I would keep an eye on public transport, train stations. I drank a lot of coffee. These kinds of areas, these kinds of things. I would keep a close eye on these places because there might be something happening. And I'm not saying that I believe this to be the case, but I can definitely see it happening. And this will also fit the picture that I, as an observer in Europe, am watching at the moment. Because I have never before in my life seen so many fighter jets, so many helicopters, so many military convoys around me as a civilian as I have done in the last month. So there is something big happening. And if you look in the newspapers, Norwegian newspapers are saying that this increased activity in the military sector is mirroring Russian activity. So we are doing this to mirror Russian activity. But the same newspapers are also always telling us that the Russian military is, really, really struggling. They're struggling in Ukraine. They don't have many fighter jets left. They don't have many tanks left. They don't have many soldiers left. We hear this all the time, but at the same time, our Prime Minister, Jonas Gahr Støre, is saying that our increased military activity in the north is mirroring increased Russian activity in the north. So how can they be struggling so much? Don't have soldiers, don't have tanks, don't have helicopters, don't have fighter jets left, but at the same time increasing their military activity in the north, far away from an active war zone. This is a huge self-contradiction, and I think the activity that we're seeing, or I think it's plausible at least, that the activity that we're seeing is preparations for a huge joint venture consisting of major NATO countries, the USA, the huge European nations, as well as the Middle Eastern allies of America, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Egypt, these kinds of countries against Iran. But this will not be possible without the support of the European public, and in order to gain that, I think we need to create a common shared enemy in Iran by framing some huge catastrophe as being orchestrated by Iran. And this might be happening at the upcoming World Cup. So let me know down in the comments what you think about my theory. Do you think it's realistic? Do you think it's gonna happen? Would you put it past the US to do something like this on their own soil? I'm not sure, so let me know down below, and thanks for watching.